Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the home studio today on this, the third day of May in the year 2024. And today I am really delighted and honored to be joined by Tom Greco, who is the Director of Public Relations in the Township of Nutley. And Tom and his family have also created a scholarship in his sister's name and memory, and we're here to talk about that today. So, Tom, it's good to be on the other side asking you the questions this time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really great. Tell us who Diane was and why your family has decided to remember her with a scholarship in her honor.
Well, Diane grew up in Nutley, as I did. Went to all Nutley schools, went to Yannico School, went to Franklin Middle School, which is now John Walker School, of course.
Right.
Graduated from Nutley High in 1974. Loved Nutley. Once she got married, she moved out, but I think she spent the rest of her life wanting to come back because she was always at my house. So, but my sister was, I guess a lot of people can say this about members in the family, but my sister was just the nicest person in the world. And everybody loves her. And unfortunately, she got sick in 2017 with pancreatic cancer, and she passed away 5 months later in 2018. So, after that, I was trying to come up with a way to keep her memory alive. Obviously, it's alive in her children and all of our family members, but I wanted her to be remembered for more than that, because she was that kind of person, and I think everyone that she touched would agree with that. So later on in the year, she passed away in May of 2018. I was trying to think of a way to, how do we honor her? How do we keep her name alive? And every year I put it. My company is Thomas Greco Publishing. We've been in Nutley for 35 years. But every year I put an ad in the 30 Half Club program for the Nutley High School football season. So I was thinking, and the ad would be just for my company. Right. But then it kind of hit me like, well, wait a minute. Now, we've been, let me backtrack a little. Our family has been in Nutley since the late 50s.
Okay.
And since that time, from the very first time that my Uncle Tony Greco, he was the first one to move here from Belleville, he got involved with Nutley Midget League football. And from that time in the late 50s all the way to, I think, 2015, there was always a Greco involved in Nutley football, whether it was playing, coaching, whether it was midget, junior football, the high school, flag football, you name it, we were involved in some extent. So it seemed to occur to me to be natural to kind of tie that in, because if our family has any kind of tradition in the town, it's tied to football, the football legacy. Although Diane wasn't a big sports fan, and she'd be the first one to tell you that.
Yeah.
She was a lover of Nutley, and obviously she supported all of us that played sports and played football. And I know she used to go to all the games when my brothers were playing or our relatives were playing, and always a big supporter of everything we did. So ultimately, I figured, okay, you know what? Let's tie that together, and we created the Diane Greco Staley Scholarship Fund. And what I didn't want to do was, first of all, I didn't want to solicit people for money,
Right?
Because again, as I said, Diane was beloved by everyone, and I didn't want to feel so many people that I didn't want them to feel obligated to contribute. So we wanted to do it internally. So it started out with myself and Diane's daughter Katie, and I happened to be telling a friend of mine by the name of Glenn Villicari, who owned Parkway Auto Body in Nutley, and he insisted that he would contribute, and I couldn't say no to him. No. So ultimately, the initial funding was myself, Katie, and Glenn. But then we also didn't want to just give it, two things. There are a lot of awards and scholarships that are given out in Nutley, which is a great thing for the community. And the vast majority of them are either academic or sports oriented. And although Diane was very smart, I don't know if she ever won any academic scholarships. And again, she wasn't much of an athlete, so I know she didn't win any of those. So I wanted to create something that was kind of a mixture of both. So when we created the scholarship, we wanted it to be, we decided it to be for the most valuable teammate on the football team, and that meant that not necessarily the best player, not necessarily the best athlete, but the one that one athlete or the one player on the team that everybody looked to for inspiration, and who would do the most. Like if anybody needed any help, or and regardless of whether or not they were a starter, they were on the bench or whatever, it was just that someone that brought so much to the team that everybody adored that person as a teammate.
Right.
And that's kind of how, those who knew Diane felt about her. Like she was everybody's teammate because you could rely on her for anything. So I contact Coach Steve DiGregorio, who was the head coach of the Nutley High School at the time. And Steve and I go back a long, long time. We played football together 50 years ago. So Steve came into the office, and I ran the idea by him. I also had, I have a tendency to, not a tendency, I'm a night bird, so I tend to sleep late on Saturdays. So I told Steve that I won't be at the game, so I won't know who to pick. So I'm gonna leave it to you guys, the coaches, to pick who you think and pick. And actually, what Steve did is he not only coaches, but he also asked the players to vote for it. So each year, the team itself, the scholarship winner came from within the team itself. It had really nothing to do with us. The coach would just say, Tom, here's the player that we've chosen, and that was the first one we gave out was in December, was 2018,
Okay.
the year Diane passed. So anyway, working with Coach DiGregorio, he loved the idea, and we put it together. And like I said, we gave the first one away. At that point, I think it was the first one may have been $1,500, maybe $2,000.
Right.
Um,
It's a lot more
and then
now, though, isn't it?
yeah. Well, actually, through the years, the one we just gave out this year to Aiden O'Halloran was this year's winner, and it's gone up to $5,000, which I think is I've been told. I mean, I can't verify this, and I don't want to sound like we're bragging, but I think it's the second largest scholarship that goes out each year,
Wow.
whether it's academic or athletic related. Um, but what happened with the way we were able to raise it, like I said, I never wanted to solicit people and put the onus on them to supply the money for it. Was we have a big family.
Sure.
I've with Diane, I have two brothers, two sisters. I have, I think, 15 nieces and nephews, all most of them who went through the Nutley school system. And like after the first couple ones, I started to get a text like, why can't I give you money? Why can't I give you money? Why can't I? I'm like, you can give me money. I said, I'm just not going to ask for it.
Right. Never said you
So,
couldn't.
right.
Right.
So, but thanks to her nieces and nephews, it makes my heart feel good because we've gotten it all the way up to $5,000, which I think is a really cool thing, and it's a reflection of how beloved she was, and it's just and I also want to give credit to, like I said, Coach DiGregorio, who unbelievably passed away from the same disease that Diane had a couple of years later.
Truly
He was
amazing.
a great man, and he's left such a great legacy as well. But then Coach Vic took over for Coach DiGregorio. He continued the tradition. He was great. And then Joe Pyro, the athletic director, took over for Coach Vic last year. He did a great job, and he jumped right on board. And then Chris Helm was the new Nutley High School coach this recent season, jumped in as well, and they've been totally cooperative and been a huge help. And obviously, we couldn't do it without them because I'd have to pay a scout to go to the games
Right.
and pick out. But again, it's not what they do on the field. It's more so what they do in the locker room or in practice. So I want to give a big thank you to the staff at Nutley High School for making this award possible, because we wouldn't be able to do it without them.
It really is a testament to you, though, and your family, because that was the first thing I ever knew about you was just that Nutley is in your blood. You would probably bleed maroon if you could, and it doesn't surprise me to know that your sister Diane was exactly the same way, where everything you do and everything that you're about always sort of comes back to Nutley, right? And that was who she was, it sounds like, even after she moved out of town. And sometimes you can remove yourself from the town, but the town is always a part of you. And now, because of you and the family's efforts, no one's going to be able to forget who she was. And it's God Almighty sad that she's been gone for 6 years already, or
Yeah.
7 years. So, how do you do it? I mean, it's unbelievable what you do for this township.
Oh no, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. It's just,
yeah,
I think, and it's funny that you say that because you know as well as I do, it's election time,
right,
and social media is going crazy with, and there's controversies going on in town, and
right.
we've been here 7 decades. The Greco family's been in Nutley for 7 decades. I've been here. I'm 63. I've been here since I think I was one when we moved here, and I've never left. I've opened my business here, as I said. I live on Nutley Avenue, ironically.
Perfect.
It's to me, I love Nutley. I'll always live Nutley. I'll never leave. Um, I just think it's a great town, and Diane thought that as well. She, like I said, she spent the rest of her life trying to get back, and unfortunately, she just never could. Uh, we just it's I don't know. I mean, you grow up in a place that really, for me, again, different people have different perspectives. For me, it's the greatest place to grow up in. You have everything you could possibly want. Whether it's we went through the school system, which was great. I mean, I had so many mentors coming through Yannicka, teachers like Miss Carpenter and Mr. Lafredo. I mean, huge influence on me. Then you went to the junior high, more influence there. And then always throughout, wherever you went, Mr. Walker was always around, right?
Sure.
And Mr. Walker was, again, legendary Nutley figure. He was, he was Nutley through and through, even though he didn't live here. Then you go to the high school, and again, I had multiple teachers and mentors that helped me. And I was a terrible student. I hated high school. My father's business was construction, and
Hmm.
they had a business on East Center Street uh, back in the '60s, and I thought that was going to be my path. So I said, all right, you know what? I don't have to do good in high school. I'm going to be a $1 million bricklayer.
Right.
Uh, until I went out and did it and said, okay, I'm going to college.
Right.
Um, but it's just I never had any notion of leaving. And I still don't. I love this town. And I know it sounds weird and it's probably
No.
corny and all that stuff, but when you grow up and when you're in a place where you feel that safe, number one,
Right.
number two, that if there's a problem that comes up, you can call uh, people in town in government that are always accessible,
Yeah.
and they will help you and they will listen to you to the best they can. They may not be able to help you, but they'll listen to you. They're not,
Sure.
some far off politician that you can't get a hold of. Um, and I appreciate that, and I think that's sometimes that gets lost. And again, it may say corny, but it may sound corny, but
Nah.
we the Grecos love Nutley, and we feel very appreciative of what Nutley has done for us and the opportunities they've given us. And it's a great town. I love Nutley.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself too, because I know what you do, but for some of our readership and viewers who may not know about your publishing company, let everybody know about that and how that ultimately translated into you becoming the PR person for the township.
Well, we've been publishing. I started my company in 1988. Out of my house I used to live on Edgewood Avenue. My father built a home there, like I said, around 1960, and so I lived there for the first 28 years of my life. And
Right.
uh, I started the company like I said, 1988. I had one magazine. It's automotive. It was an automotive trade publication, which really dealt with body shops basically.
Mm.
And since that time, it's grown over the years. Right now we have five of them, five magazines from all over the country. At times we branched out to other magazines. We did a music magazine for Compact Disc World. I don't know if you remember that chain, but we did
Yeah.
music magazine for a while. We did Bodie magazines. We've done a ton of magazines. We've also done administration for a lot of companies, a lot of our clients. Also public relations. So we've been at it a long time. I've got a great staff. And what happened is that Nutley really was, again, social media has exploded, and I didn't think Nutley had a great presence online, or all the great things that you grow up learning about, and recently now you have the opportunity to get them out through social media,
Right.
through traditional press, whatever, whether the Observer or the Nutley Sun, whatever. There's so many sources now that people can look at and get information. I wanted to bring all the great things that Nutley does, because so many of them, I mean, people know things, but the dozens and dozens of programs, whether it's the Parks and Rec, whether it's the DPW, I mean, there's so many different, things that go on in town that people aren't aware of, that I wasn't aware of, and I've lived here all my life.
Yeah.
And I went to the town. And I said, look, you know what? We should be putting this stuff out and letting people know, all the great things that we do, and allow them to take advantage of what's available out there. And the commissioners agreed, and so far, we've been doing it, 2.5 years, and I think it's been pretty successful. We've covered hundreds of events.
Oh yeah.
And I think you get, it's funny because you get, as a resident, sometimes you want to jump on the social media sites and say and answer like back, all the negativity and stuff. And once we landed the contract with the town, I'm like, well, now that all you're going to say is, well, you're paid to say that, and I'm like, we paid taxes for 60 years.
Right.
I don't think what I'm making now, or the town is paying my company. And again, they're paying my company, they're not paying me. But the town's paying my company. Kind of, I don't think I'll ever catch that up to that in my lifetime. So I think I can separate the two. But it's crazy. But getting back to the company. So yeah, we're in our 35th year, I think, and we also manage the second largest automotive trade show in the country at the Meadowlands every March, which is called Northeast. Shows Northeast, and we get about 6,000 people there, and it's a pretty monumental event, and I'm very proud of it. Like I said, my name's on the company, but it's my employees are the ones that make it work. Sure. I just my greatest talent has always been hiring the right people.
Yep.
And I've been very lucky and very blessed with that. As I am, like I said, with not only, I've been blessed my whole life, whether it's living in Nutley, whether it's people that work for me, whether it's more, obviously my biggest blessing, other than my kids and my wife, is this person behind me here, is Diane. She was the biggest blessing.
We'll definitely get right back to Diane, but before we do, I have to attest to the work that you do, because I am a beneficiary of your work. Because every time you send out a press release that tells the world what's going on in Nutley, it makes my life so much easier. And those press releases come out more than one might expect, and they are always thorough. They're always beautifully written, and it makes life for me as a journalist so much easier. So I can't thank you enough for that. I really can't. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. You make me blush.
A little bit. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Tell me a little bit more about Diane's family. I think you mentioned you had a couple. Did I hear you say you had a few nieces and she left behind children? Yeah.
Diane has a daughter, Kate. Her name is Kate Rose. She married Adam Rose, who is also as another Nutleyite.
Right.
And they just had a beautiful baby girl, Sadie Diane Rose, in November. And we just had the christening. It was crazy. This past weekend, we had the christening of Sadie, and on Sunday, and on Saturday was actually the 50th reunion of Diane's Nutley High School class.
Oh,
so
God.
it was a kind of a strange, a goosebumpy kind of weekend.
Yeah.
But she has a son, Danny Saley, who's Danny manages Adam, Katie's husband, Adam. They're the owners of the oh my God, of Sparrows. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it happens.
Sparrows Deli in Montclair, and up in oh my God, they're gonna kill me. Up Ramsey. I'm sorry. Okay.
Ramsey. Okay.
Sparrows Deli in Montclair and Ramsey, which is an incredible Italian deli, and I'm not gonna give them a plug, obviously.
Good.
But so Adam is in the store in Montclair, and Danny runs the store up in Ramsey. So yeah, great kids. We again, Diane and I I don't want to bore the viewers, but Diane and I were the last two kids in the family. Diane was 4 years older than I was. I was the baby. So we were extremely close because there was a bigger age gap between the other three. Like my oldest brother Ralph is 75, so there's 12-year difference there. Yeah. So Diane and I did everything together. We vacationed together. Every summer we go to Wildwood. We're Disney World fanatics, so we go to Disney World 2 or 3 times a year. And we just always had fun just going on trips, and when we didn't go on trips, we have a tradition here at my house, which is something that I treasure. Is we have game nights like every few months with all the nieces and nephews. So
Wow.
there's like 20, 25 people that come in, and we play games all night, and it's just so much fun. And again, it's another blessing. And obviously, there's a big void there without Diane, because she would usually be the funniest one, or have the biggest laugh, and of course there's always her and I just having a way of, I miss her insulting me all the time. Probably more than anything else, I miss the
Right.
insults.
Just once. Wouldn't it just be great to have one more?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
remarkable, isn't it? Um, on our way out here, man, this is really remarkable. But is there anything else you would like people to know about her, so that we can kind of just always remember her for that? And then, if there's anybody who would like to, I know you say you don't ask for donations, but I know somebody's going to watch this and say, I really would like to donate to them,
Uh,
to the Greco family. How could they go about doing that?
I appreciate that, Kevin, but no, we because again, we have a huge family. We have a lot of friends. Diane had a zillion friends, and they've all asked me, and I, I I've limited it to the family, and I want to keep it
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
I don't want to blow it out of proportion. It's something that I think we feel that it's our duty to do something great and give back, because we were so blessed with having Diane in our lives for as long as we did. I think the least that we can do as the Greco family is to give back to somebody else in Nutley, and that's what we want to continue to do.
Tremendous. You want to give a prediction for the election? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know this is. I had to throw it in there, but somebody
No,
said to me, yeah,
Kevin, I don't have a problem at all with that. I've known Mayor Scarpelli, Commissioner Tucci, Commissioner Petracco a long, long time.
yeah,
They have made this town better. Okay, they've always made this town better. And this is my opinion. Again, there could be a million people who could
that's right.
write comments on this and say no, 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 they did this, whatever. For me, again, being here longer than most people, they have made the town better. I got to know Commissioner Evans and Commissioner Kelly these last 4 years, working very closely with them. My opinion, they have made the town better. And the question for me is, people move to Nutley for a reason, and it's because of a lot of things that I've already spoken about. And these five uh, commissioners have kept it that way and keep making it get better. I don't believe in change for change's sake. And again, I've always been a skeptic. I'm not someone loving Nutley as much as I did. I would tell you, probably not here, but I would probably say, I wouldn't endorse everybody just for the
Sure.
sake of endorsing them.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe, and again, working closely with them, much more closely than I ever did, and separating the work from the friendships. Honestly, the incumbents are what's best for Nutley. They really are. And no slight to the other candidates. I don't know either of them. I don't know much about either of them, but just working so closely, these five have done a hell of a job, and they have a vision, and their vision is to keep Nutley not only the way it is, I think that for what we remember it for, but for progressing as well, which is necessary in order to survive. So I believe in the five of them very strongly, and I hope they get reelected. And that's not just because I work for
No,
them.
exactly, exactly. And we'll find out in about 10 days, 11 days from right
Yep,
now. Yep.
yep.
Tom Greco, I can't thank you enough for this. I appreciate everything that you do for the Township of Nutley, and it was an absolute pleasure for me to be able to bring you on board today. Thank you. I hope we can do it again.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm very honored, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my sister Diane, because we can never talk enough about it.
That's right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.